Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we are going to tackle the Ultimate Challenge. It's coming a little bit late into the Ultimate Challenge cycle, about halfway, but I thought I'd put up my video. Obviously we've done the Ultimate Challenge a couple times, so I'm not going to include too many free-to-play units or anything. I generally enjoy showing off a bit more of my box sometimes with these Ultimate Challenge videos, so I hope you can forgive me for showing off a couple of my units and everything, or at least by showing off I mean using things other than the worst units possible and free-to-play cards. But we're going to start with General Tao. As always, first battle we use the Ginyu Force. You can use Team Bardock, but the thing is, like I always advise, you're really going to need to keep a dupe of Team Bardock separate for now, so that you have two leads for the team. Otherwise it's really just not going to work. You could possibly use the Int EZA Raditz as a lead, considering he's low class warriors, but yeah, that's really about it. But I mean, if you use, the Int Raditz and Team Bardock, it should work out perfectly fine. It's not like the Ginyu Force has too many problems, so you could definitely use that as an alternative team for this beginning stage here. And yeah, overall, General Tao's just really not that hard. He's Int type, so we do need to be careful about our tech Captain Ginyu. But I mean, we can always really just push through this stage. We never really have any problems with the first stage ever. The Ginyu Force, if worth anything alone, has been worth the sheer amount of times they've cleared this Ultimate Challenge first stage for me, saving all my good units for a double attempt at the final boss. As you all should know by now, the first boss of Ultimate Challenge, the typing of the first boss, will be the typing of the boss in the final stage, so we know that Frieza is going to be Int because General Tao is Int. And we're basically going to finish it off here with Jace. So yeah, easy start as always. Ginyu Force really coming in clutch, and an easy start as predicted. 1 minute 27, it's not too bad a time, and yeah, the first stage is pretty much almost done. Now we'll have our boss fight for the stage against Bota Mageda. So reduces damage, they have immunity to being stunned, they can't be sealed, you can't lower their attack and defense. The defense reduction is not too heavy. So basically what you're just going to want to do is you're just going to want to basically nuke them down with as many crit units as possible. Generally when you have these fights where like they have defense reduction and you can't really do much about it, you generally just want to bring units that either have innate crits, yeah, pretty much that's it. They have innate crits, or you've built them in the system to have a decent amount of critting. And the reason for this is basically crits bypass defense, so that enables you to do and score a lot of damage. And Bota Mageda don't actually have a lot of health, it just feels like a lot of health because of their defense reduction. So you'll see, I think we do get a couple crits here, so you'll see with those crits how we basically chunk them down super fast. We're going to put Janemba into the first slot just so he can get that proc on his damage, and we'll see him bust out a nice attack stat here. Won't take too much damage. They're not going to deal out any real damage as the second boss in Ultimate Challenge. And their defense reduction, although strong, doesn't do much against these mega attacks from Janemba. So yeah, really straightforward fight. We don't get any crits actually. That's kind of bumming. Actually, it's very bumming, but yeah. So essentially, crits would be the way to go here. Crits will help you bypass their defense and really just help you chunk them down quickly. Obviously, I am using my premier units. A lot of these units are rainbowed or have good gear, have been easy aid, so we'll be perfectly fine here. But for those of you who are struggling, just try and take units that dish crits, or that you've built into crits, because that's really going to be where you kind of come out better off. But yeah, nothing too crazy, and we're going to be done here. And yeah, so that's the first stage done really quickly, like 4 minutes in total, 3-4 minutes in total. And yeah, most people shouldn't have a problem getting to stage 3 if you've played the game for a while. you definitely won't have a problem getting to stage 3. Most people generally only have problems with the final boss, or maybe some of the gimmicks. So Trunks here just can't be stunned, he can't have his attack lowered, but he can be sealed. So if you're struggling with Trunks, you can always seal him, and that will obviously make things a little bit easier. We're not really going to bother with that too much. Like I said, we're using a lot of my stronger units, so to be honest with you, for the most part, we're just going to basically power through these first 2 stages and get to the 3rd stage, where it gets a bit more interesting for veteran players because of the mechanics that they have on those bosses. So Demon King Piccolo, one of my favorite units, obviously, as a lot of people will know. Him and Lord Slug are like a go-to pair of mine for a lot of strong, difficult content. They're just a very good pairing, so I very much like them a lot. I think they're great. So anyway, we're not going to have too many problems here. Even at this stage, you're not going to take any damage. All pretty straightforward. The only thing with this tech team I have is I can actually lack a little bit of damage. First form Cell doesn't really hit super hard unless you get his 18 key and have him linked up with some support. And then he can hit hard if we have him in defense down, but the problem is that only occurs after an 18 key from Cell, so a little bit difficult to do. We'll have Broly here, super attack, and that should finish off this Trunks, because Broly has 3 dupes in him, and he's got, well, pretty much built entirely crit, so yeah, we should be perfectly fine. We're not going to take a lot of damage either by Raditz here, so yeah, Broly's going to attack and hopefully get a crit for us. I can't remember. Yeah, I think he gets a crit, and then that's going to finish off Trunks. No, he just finishes them off anyway. Not getting a lot of luck with crits in this video, so just noticed that now, that I'm not really getting the world's greatest luck with crits, but I mean, that's alright. We'll get them when they matter. That's the most important thing. So Oob can't be stunned, can't be sealed, can only have his defense lowered. So nothing too wild. Obviously just pretty much a straightforward fight. Oob doesn't have any gimmicks or anything, so just a straightforward fight. And yeah, we should be able to deal with Oob relatively comfortably again with my extreme AGL team. Immunity being sealed, stunned, can't lower his attack. Yeah, pretty straightforward. So yeah, yeah, my extreme AGL team is pretty good. I could definitely do with maybe slotting in, like my baby Vegeta and things like that. But I like this team. Its synergies are right, and they deal perfectly fine with whatever stage I need currently at the moment. If they're ever too weak or I just feel like rushing through, I might switch in a couple different LRs. I like the Margin Vegeta LR. I can't wait for them to easy A that card and upgrade his defense. Although, that being said, I think his offense is so good right now that, I mean, it matters, his defense matters, but I've used that Vegeta to finish ESBR, so at the same time, as much as he struggles defensively, he is so good offensively if you use him in the right way and link him with the right cards, that he just is still so reliable, at least in the short-term hard events. The events like LGE and stuff like that, Vegeta obviously is not great because his damage output can't chunk down the units immediately, which means he takes more and more attacks, which highlights the defensive vulnerabilities he has. But yeah, if you use Vegeta in the correct events and everything, he's great, and his defensive vulnerabilities don't show as much, and he becomes a lot more reliable and just dependable as an offensive outlet for sure. So that's Oob done. Also wasn't particularly difficult, nothing noticeably different. First time we didn't break a record as well, if that matters to anyone. So physical Lord Slug, so can't be sealed, can't be stunned, no attack and defense reduction, recovers HP, defensive reduction. Basically they enter that pseudo god mode now for some reason with Ultimate Challenge. Basically, well, from this point on, you can't seal these cards or anything like that. I don't know why they're so interested in doing this. Might as well just do it to every event in the game, barring SBR, where sealing and all that matters. So, yeah, it just seems a bit weird that they do it so early on. I mean, I can understand, you know, like they want to make them difficult, but just make them heal, or like make you have to bring anti-regeneration units or something that just makes it a little bit more interesting. So we'll give Vegeta the orbs, because I haven't actually done any work on Vegeta. His SA is still like SA3 and stuff. So we'll give Vegeta the orbs, because yeah, he needs it for his defense, because he's got no hip pro, no nothing. Even then he still takes some damage. And then but we'll heal that up with the Android 21 very quickly. And we're still not getting any crits. None at all. So yeah, crits are not our friend today. We're not getting the luck of the Irish, so to say. But we are managing to chunk our way through these bosses relatively quickly. Nothing too difficult or crazy here. And yeah, I'm not anticipating anything to become difficult or crazy. The healing from Lord Slug will be a slight annoyance, but beyond that, it shouldn't be anything that's gonna drive us off the deep end or anything like that. So yeah, definitely more than fine with this. Yeah, we'll have Frieza tank this up. He doesn't get his full bonuses because he's not fighting a super class enemy, but he'll still hit like a truck, defend well, yeah, just do a lot. Still no crits, so yeah, today is not a crit day, that's for sure. Let's see, get a crit? Nope. Yeah, no, we're not critting today, but we'll finish it off with a Mega Shenron, and he'll dish out the last bit of damage, and that's Lord Slug down. So far, we've really not had any problems. Everything's gone pretty smoothly. And I gotta be honest, I'm not having too many difficulties in terms of taking on the stage. Obviously, I have done it before. When I was filming this video, it was the second attempt. I did have a slight problem with Frieza in the first run. Basically caught a super when I wasn't ready for it. And then took quite a big chunk of damage and things got a little bit tight, but I don't anticipate that being too much of a problem in this second run here. So with Vegeta here, we have the luxury of fighting Vegeta, who super attacks every single time. So the way to go against Vegeta is just basically to attack lower him, and that eventually should help reduce the damage enough. You're also going to want to maybe bring a healer of some kind, because obviously you do want to kind of heal yourself up while you're kind of initiating that attack lowering. If you're like me, you're just going to basically run your strongest units and just nuke him down before he nukes you down. That's also just a strategy you can use with Super AGL in general, mainly because of how strong they are as a set of units. So yeah, definitely something that I would keep in mind when you are doing this stage in future. It's just that basically the strategy you want to go with is you want to attack lower him and heal up while using other units, or you can just bring units with heavy defense damage reduction. You can have them basically essentially just tank every single hit and slowly whittle them down. It's horrendously boring, and probably the worst way to go about it, but you do you. There's no real right or wrong answer to finishing these stages. As long as you finish them, everything will be alright. And there we get a crit, so fantastic. Thank you, Goku. Always reliable. This SS3 Goku is really solid. I remember getting him early on when he first came out. It was like one of my first big easy A's I could do. And he is just tremendous. He's fantastic. His defense is alright. It's a little bit outdated nowadays. But if you link level 10 him and link him up with another Super Saiyan 3 Goku, like the transforming one, he just does a lot of damage. Like, a lot of damage, decent defense. Like, he's just a solid numbers card. Like, he doesn't do a lot, but he's just a solid numbers card. which I think is fine. You know, we all need those filler cards that are just really solid and reliable for content or anything. And I mean, for the Super Saiyan 3 SPR, he is still one of the top class units when it comes to that stage. So yeah, really do like that Goku. But yeah, so Vegeta didn't pose us too many problems. Now we move on to probably, I would say, the most annoying of the fights. This is the Goku that basically you have to continuously seal. So when you're building your team, you really want to make sure that you have a whole bunch of seals on your team that you can easily get. And you want to basically just keep a seal on rotation so that you can constantly seal Goku and lock him up so that he cannot perform his ultra mega one-hit KO. It's not really a one-hit KO if it hits like a really good defensive unit, but it's a one-hit KO like for most people, and it will still do a lot of damage, and he can do a couple of them if you're not careful. So yeah, definitely want to just bring at least 2 rotating seals on this, and then you should be perfectly fine and good to go. Just the only problem with obviously fighting Goku is just really that you have to constantly keep him sealed, and unfortunately with the end team, at least from my side, there's just not a lot of super high damage dealers that I have on the team, so it just makes it a little bit of a slugfest, which is not always the best, especially since you have to keep the sealers on rotation. So it can get a little bit tedious, you know, units like Vados and that, especially my Vados who's got 1 dupe. She doesn't do the most insane damage, and having to keep her on rotation, like yes, she provides support, but she's providing support and not really doing a lot of damage herself, and a lot of the support or the units she supports don't really sit that well on the team. We have, you know, the Int Vegeta Blue who can sit with her, is supported quite nicely by her, but yeah, overall we're basically just relying on Gogeta to dish out a whole bunch of damage, and then we're gonna have basically Ribrianne and Vados just kind of sit here and seal up Goku so that we can't get super attacked. And the reason why you want to keep a sealer on each rotation is if Goku ever exit his seal, you're basically just going to take a massive crap ton of damage. So you do not want that to happen, because he basically stores these things up. So like if you don't like if he gets out the seal and he's got 2 super attacks stored up, he'll just like unleash 2 of them in a row. It's really weird, but basically he like stores them up essentially and just starts unleashing super attacks once he leaves the seal, depending on how long you've had him sealed up. So it is something you want to keep in mind, but yeah, it's not the end of the world. We'll have you see, this is the problem. We have to essentially sacrifice orbs to some extent just to make sure that we have the seal, and the reason why this is such an issue is because it means you can't do a lot of damage. Like look here, you have to give Vados all the orbs, and Vados is great, I love her sealing, but it's just it amounts to like lost damage. Like okay, Vados is gonna get the seal and we're gonna stay safe, but we spent this turn doing 800k or whatever. Yeah, it's just not a lot of damage, and it just makes the fight a little bit tedious. Some teams are better off with this, they just deal more damage or they have a little bit better synergy. I think the in team could have slightly better synergy, most definitely. Probably could have gone for like a Rosie linked with the Ribrianne, with the Vados as a floating sealer, and maybe having Goku and the Vegeta unit in other rotation, but then you run the risk of breaking the ceiling lock on this Goku, which obviously would be very bad from a damage point of view. But I mean, yeah, we just have to wait and see. This team will obviously clear it, but it just takes a little bit longer. As you can see, Gogeta, sorry, is the only one really doing any damage. This SS3 Bardock tries, and he's got the occasional seal that he can add in as well, but they don't link the best. And Bardock's a tiny bit outdated, especially when he's not running a Super Saiyan 3 team or anything, or when he's not below the threshold to get his support. He can just kind of be a little bit weaker than we imagine. But we'll be able to finish up this Goku, clean him up, and then move on to the next fight. We shouldn't have any problems really, because we're obviously going to get the seal. He is currently sealed, so we're essentially just wrapping everything up here and keeping everything under control. Vados will give us the little push we need, give us I think probably the last seal that we'll need, and then Gotenks hopefully will get a double super attack and finish off the Goku. So yeah, definitely very decent team run, triple super attack and finish. So yeah, very solid fight. At no stage were we under threat, but just a long and tedious 5-minute fight. So literally been 3 times longer than every other fight so far, pretty much. You know, it's even longer than the final fight against Frieza, I think. So we'll see that, but it's even longer than the final fight against Frieza, which I think is a little bit nuts. For the Metal Cooler, we have essentially the same thing as Lord Slug, just he heals a bit more. And with the tech lineup, we do have a nice new option in this God Goku, who obviously links very well with the whole rotation, is tech, which obviously is guaranteed here, so he's really going to be a solid option. Plus we can link him with his best mate, the tech Vegeta Blue from the Resurrection of F movie. So yeah, definitely a good solid rotation that can occur here. And we'll definitely try to organize that as quickly as possible, because they link up really great, and it's really awesome to see. Goku's defense will also be fine, be even better after he super attacks. Solid stack, 1.4 million there. Plus he's buffing the rest of the rotation, so definitely something that we need to keep in mind when we do these stages, that he is buffing the rest of the rotation as well. You can see that's the annoying heal from Cooler, followed immediately by his annoying super attack, which does a decent amount of damage. You just want to be careful about it, because it does lower attack and defense. So not so much the lowering attack, obviously that is a bit of a bummer, but the lowering defense means that it can really change some tankier units into being hit quite hard, or units that usually would tank okay that then get hit by it tanking very poorly. So you just want to keep that in mind when you are doing the stage, so that you can obviously control everything out. And then we've got this Tech Goku. He's a really good option here because he has damage reduction against movie bosses, and Cooler is clearly a movie boss. So yeah, he definitely is great here. If he got super attacked, he would have taken like no damage, because it's like 77% damage reduction, which is super duper solid. The Angel Goku, who is currently the lead, the 120% lead for this typing, definitely needs his easy air, because it's really going to help us out in terms of anything really in future. Right now he's a little bit disappointing, especially as the leader of the typing. We could definitely do with a new one. Hopefully one that either buffs like tech type, or not really. I hope they build them more for the SS3 team, but yeah, definitely needs to have some kind of tanking ability for me. I think that's what the tech team is missing right now. We'll give all the orbs to Vegeta, just so he can get a nice big attack stat, because Cooler won't survive next turn even if he gets a heal here. Between Trunks is going to do some decent damage. The Vegeta with all those orbs will do really good damage. The buff from the Goku and the Goku himself hitting really hard, or just Trunks finishing him off right here with a double super attack and a crit, and dead. Power of a Rainbow level 10 Lynx Trunks. Really solid. And yeah, Cooler went down quite easily, 2 minutes 49. So the healing did make it a little bit longer. But nothing too bad. Nothing, I mean, half the time that it took to beat Goku. So yeah, definitely a solid run. And now we get to Hirudegon. So Hirudegon just has this annoying ability to evade, and he can hit relatively hard. So you just want to be careful of that, basically. But there's nothing really you can do. You just have to basically bring a good synergizing team. Maybe bring a bit of orb generation. Maybe bring a bit of heals, like B-Pan, for example. And just, yeah, basically just wait for yourself to hit him. He is a little bit glass cannony, so once he does get hit, he can lose quite a large chunk of life. So yeah, not too worried about it, but it can be a little bit frustrating for people, especially when he starts to get multiple dodges off. It can be a little bit frustrating for you, so please keep that in mind when you're doing the stage. Just, yeah, be aware that it might get a little bit irritating out here, taking on Hirudegon, at least while he's getting a couple evasions off. But as you can see, he's not the tankiest unit in the world. He can take definitely a large chunk of damage from each attack. Even attacks not even really that high in attack stat are taking about a bar and a health off of him at a time. So yeah, Hirudegon, annoying but not too difficult. Nothing I wouldn't say you can handle, especially with the super strength one this time around. They definitely have the tankiness, the damage, and the orb generation, the healing, and everything. They're a good enough team that taking on Hirudegon is not really the most worrying thing in the world, especially with leads like LR SS4 Vegeta, who's really great at just kind of creating a cohesive team unit. The amount of good Vegeta cards that fall under Vegeta's lead, and yeah, just in general, really not too much of a problem. We're also quite happy that he actually evaded those two attacks, because neither of them were that damaging. So hopefully he can get hit next turn and taken out by our cards here. So yeah, again, not too many problems with Hirudegon. Couple slight annoying evasions that probably would have brought us close to finishing him off, but I don't actually think we would have finished him off that turn anyway. So yeah, nothing too lost or anything. Hopefully we can get our attacks this turn and clear them out. So Goku and Vegeta have hit. You can always tell by how far the animation gets, and they'll finish them off quite easily. So yeah, we're ready to take on Frieza, the final boss. I don't anticipate us having too many problems, but you never know. So let's go take a look and see how that goes. And then yeah, cool. So as we all know, we have Frieza now, and Frieza is in type. So yeah, nothing really too crazy here. Super physical is pretty good. Frieza obviously takes extra damage against super types and reduced damage from extreme types, so you really want to come in with a double super type team, just so you have a bit more control and a bit more of an advantage against Frieza. Basically, you don't really want to be caught lacking too much against Frieza, so yeah, definitely come in with double the amount of super units. A Worthy Rivals team probably would work really well here, because that's one of the better physical classifications, but you can definitely build a straight physical team. For the physical side, the 120% type lead, which is the SS3 Gotenks, unfortunately doesn't have his easy A yet, which is obviously a slight problem. Same with Cooler, he obviously doesn't have his easy A either, but neither of them, well, Cooler especially because his extreme type is suitable here. And SS3 Gotenks could do a very good amount of damage, but unfortunately he doesn't necessarily have the defense to take on Frieza that well. But we have the Goku and Vegeta LR. They are more than happy to take on the workload for us, dealing great damage. They'll even tank relatively well here. and they won't even take that much damage afterwards. So they're one of the few units that has an innate starting tankiness that allows them to really take on the hits from Frieza, who can really hit quite hard. So you just want to keep that in mind. But we do have support, obviously, on rotation. The big support buff from the LR Great Saiyaman 1 and 2. They have a really big support buff, that's 70% defense, which really helps out units with high stat attacks like the LRs. Then we've got Vegito here. Obviously he's going to be perfectly fine. He's going to trigger a lot of crits, hopefully. We can see these getting super attacked. We are going to bank on him supering a couple times to get his defense up, which will obviously help quite a bit. And thanks to Piccolo, we can see where the super attack is coming. So we could have chosen to maybe put Piccolo there in the first slot, but we really just want to try and get some damage out from the Vegito. He does have 50% chance to crit. So as you can see, he's really dishing out some big damage with all those crits. He will take a big chunk of damage here from the Frieza because he didn't stack up a lot of his defense. He basically didn't even super twice. But his damage that he did to Frieza was well worth the the big damage that we took in return. So yeah, overall, like I said, Super Physical is well equipped to take on Frieza. They have some really good cards for this, because the main thing that Frieza does is he hits you with a big boy super attack. And when you can see that, or at least put your units in the right position for that, or you have enough tanky units that can kind of take that damage in and not be hit for like a bajillion damage afterwards, that really helps you out. But we will probably finish this off with the LR duo. And yeah, that is going to be it for Ultimate Challenge. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, leave a like. And I hope you guys are doing okay with Ultimate Challenge yourselves. But cool. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, cheers and bye.